Taylor Anderson with Empowering the Iowa Girl, and we are here in Cedar Falls today with Allie Gerbracht. So Allie, thank you for taking time to visit with us, and we look forward to sitting down and interviewing you.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. First question is about as easy as they get. Where are you from, and tell us about your family?
I am from Wellsburg, Iowa, so HWSR school district. I have two younger brothers. One's going to Central to play baseball, and then I have a freshman brother at Dyke, New Hartford.
And what is your current position here at Cedar Falls?
I am the women's head wrestling coach here at Cedar Falls.
And you are also a student?
Yes, I'm a college student at University of Northern Iowa for 5 through 12 comprehensive science education.
What activities did you participate in growing up?
Growing up, I was involved in quite a bit, just kind of tried everything. Starting from a young age, I was in the wrestling room since I was born, basically. I did soccer, I did track, I did basketball for like a month, and then we decided that was a no-go. And then I did volleyball, cross country, softball. Yeah, that was a lot for sports.
So through high school, were you a 4-sport athlete, 3-sport athlete?
Yeah, up until my senior year, I was a 4-sport athlete. And then my senior year, I decided to not do cross country or volleyball, as I did both of those the previous years, and just kind of focus on wrestling a little more. And then I did track and softball.
How did being involved in multiple sports benefit you as an athlete? This is all on an athlete.
I feel like it helped a lot as a person. I was able to gain a lot of lessons throughout sports and just kind of grow, understanding that not everything is going to be the same and that I can grow from each opportunity, and every situation is going to be different. Different
pressure situations in each sport kind of all culminate when you're on the mat, being able to handle those various scenarios.
Yeah, like from the team aspect in softball to wrestling, where it is a team sport, but you do have to go out there and you have to compete one-on-one and trust your training and that your teammates have helped get you to the point where you want to be.
January 14th, 2020, the Grundy Register, you were quoted the following: "I didn't want it to be a forfeit. That would have been lame." What were you referring to in that quote?
Was that my 100 wins? Okay, yeah. My 100 wins, we had a home duel, and I was really glad I was able to have it at home with my community because they made a big deal out of it, and that meant a lot to me because I'd always dreamed of that day, that and being able to jump into my dad's arms, but being able to get 100 wins and having them all be against boys, and like knowing where I started at my youth tournaments, like gradually growing, it meant a lot to me to be able to reach that milestone.
So we have that milestone. Now we back up. Tell us, where did this journey and how did this passion for wrestling develop that got you to that point of 100 wins?
Obviously, it starts right at home with my parents and my family. My dad was a wrestling coach for 25 years over at HWSR, and ever since I was born, I would go in there. All of his wrestlers would treat me just like another wrestler, no matter what age I was or how much attitude I may have had when I was younger. But they'd let me wrestle in there with them, and just being able to grow there. Just all the opportunities I was given really pushed me.
In 2019, the IWCOA State Championship was held up in Waverly Shell Rock, and you were wrestling 106?
Yep.
And you became the first girls state champion. Describe that event. Leading up to it, what was the feeling within the state, within the girls wrestling community, and then the event itself?
Obviously, like just looking back at all the posts, it was insane to even be able to have that opportunity in an unsanctioned sport, because I never thought I would get to the point where I would be able to jump into my dad's arms because it wasn't sanctioned. And I had a goal of winning a boys state title, but obviously the odds were stacked up against me. So just getting that opportunity and like the feel of it and knowing all these other girls who put in the work day in, day out at this tournament to get to that point, it was surreal, yeah.
And at this point, you were still wrestling against boys in high school up to this tournament. Were there other girls in your weight class that you had faced throughout the year, or were you those 100 wins primarily coming against all boys?
Yeah, my 100 wins was against all boys. But I think I would not have been at 106 if we were sanctioned, because I was cutting about 30 pounds to get down there. And I think that's just something that says a lot about the sport now. Like, the girls don't have to sacrifice things that they did back then, and they get to just enjoy the sport. They get to wrestle the way they want to wrestle. They don't have to go against any odds that they can't control. And I think that says a lot about it.
Not necessarily level the playing, but it's a healthier sport.
Yeah.
It's better for the sport.
It's 100% better for the sport. The girls don't have to make those sacrifices that they shouldn't have to make. They get to just go and wrestle, focus more on the technique than having to make weight, so they don't have a disadvantage. But yeah.
So in 2019, then you were the first Miss Dan Gable Wrestler of the Year. How was that? When did you find out about that award, and what did that mean to you?
It was cool. Like, I just remember, like, and I was up against some outstanding other females, like girls who put in so much work. We've wrestled against each other coming up all the way. So to be against them and get to see them get the recognition they deserve too was just great for the sport. And I feel like it just really lifted us up and kind of let us know that we started out somewhere that we never thought we would be able to finish. And that was just the opportunities. Once again, so grateful for the IWCOA to give us that opportunity, and iWrestle to give us that opportunity to get such an amazing award that's held to such a high level. But my community, once again, not only my community, but those outside of my community supported me through that and got me to where I wanted to be.
So great junior season. Now 2020, coming into that senior year, we have the second girls state tournament. It's still not a sanctioned sport, and I believe the numbers were a little over 80 year one, and then it jumped to 350 approximately. What's your mindset coming into your senior season? What's your goals? How's practice look in the room? How are things changing now that we got a year under our belt?
Everything was good. It was a pretty intense year. It was obviously a pretty sad year just because it was my last year with my dad. And at that time, I didn't have any future plans because there wasn't these opportunities that there was now. But I would have loved to go on and wrestle in college, but the point where we were at, there wasn't these colleges. They were about 2-3 years out from actually having a program. And at that point, I already had 50 credits in college. So I was like, I got to know what I'm doing, and I'm not going to be here for long. So that was tough, knowing that this was going to be my last year wrestling, because I wanted to stay in state. I got some opportunities offered, but I'm a pretty homegrown person, and I don't like to go too far out of that. And when it comes to education, I have to put my education first, find a program that's going to suit my education best, and then see if there's athletics there. But yeah, going into that state tournament, I was ready to go. Probably cut a little too much weight, but that's what we talked about before. You learn from that, and I feel like that's helped me as a coach be able to tell my girls, don't do that. Don't do that. Just go out and wrestle. But, I got to go up against Ella Schmidt again and took the loss there. And I tell my girls every day, I'm like, that was where I was supposed to be. I think that match right there led me to where I am today, to the coach I am today, because you learn, and I tell this to them all the time, I'm like, you learn so much more when you lose. You love to win. I love to win. I hate to lose. Was I upset for an entire year after that? Yeah, but did I learn so many lessons that are not only in regards to wrestling, but to life? Yes, and I really think that's what has made me the coach I am today.
So you graduate high school. What opportunities are you exploring? You touched a little bit about you had some opportunities for wrestling, but you're going to focus on education. So what direction were you heading?
I went to UNI because they had, at the time, I was a 3+1 biology and nursing major, and I had my gen eds done, so I was just right into that biology. And I wasn't really involved in anything. COVID had hit. Before COVID, what is that? The Panther Wrestling Club had offered me to come in there and start training with them. But then COVID hit, and that kind of dispersed. So I wasn't able to really jump into that. And I was just kind of lost. Honestly, I was lost without wrestling. I was just in my apartment. You couldn't go and do anything with anybody. So just doing my homework, doing my biology class, and then I got a message from the Cedar Falls wrestling coach asking if I'd want to come in and help out with their newly developed women's program. And I was like, heck yeah, I'll come and volunteer, do what I can. So I volunteered for an entire year, and then I fell in love with it. I loved coaching. I found my passion for it. It was really what clicked. But it was hard not being able to compete. Those first 2 years, I was like, I miss competing. And I feel like last year was the first year that I really was okay with not competing. I was okay with living through my girls and having them reach the level of playing field and their accomplishments that I've got to see them just, it just brings chills. Like I can't even explain how proud I am of them.
And then girls wrestling gets sanctioned. You're the first girls head coach at Cedar Falls.
Yes.
Probably one of the first female head coaches in wrestling in the state. And how old were you at that time?
I was 21 last year, yeah.
That's great. You're 21 years old. You're the first head girls wrestling coach at Cedar Falls. What's your mindset coming into week one? Walking into this room, starting your own program, what did that look like?
I was stressed, but I was excited. I think that was the most thing. I was like, we're on level one. We're all beginners. We're all just going to go out there and have fun with it. I know before the season started, I was big into recruitment. I was messaging I would go through every lineup on Bound for the Cedar Falls Sports and just message these girls on Instagram through our wrestling account and be like, hey, you should come try this. We're a new sport. Just come learn. We have a fun time. And you can make a name for yourself here at Cedar Falls. And then I would just message other girls on social media that were in the Cedar Falls district. And that's what really started our program. We got a lot of girls, and I know I got some off of the basketball JV roster. And then that next year, the first year of sanctioning, she placed at state. And she's like, I never thought I would be able to make a name for myself in the Cedar Falls School District as an athlete. And she comes out here in places, and she's like, this is the sport for me. This is where I belong. This is where I feel comfortable. This is where I feel respected. And I think that says a lot about women's wrestling in general, because almost all programs in the state have that relationship. There's just this family culture that you're going to find not only at Cedar Falls, but you're going to find that at every school district in Iowa.
How'd your numbers go that first year, starting with to the end of the season?
Yeah, so that my first year we had about 9-ish girls. Second season we had about 12. Then last year we had 37 girls, and this year we have 55.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
In our junior high numbers, we have 45 girls.
Wow.
Last year we had 25.
Wow. How did you grow as a coach that first season? Head coach, first program, week one, the state tournament. How did you grow?
I grew a lot by just listening to the girls, getting their feedback. I'm like, I'm learning, you're learning, let's work together. I want to do what's best for you, and I want to do what's best for the team. So you tell me if this isn't working, but in the end, I'm going to get you to where you want to be. So we got to be able to communicate and be able to really talk through what we want out of this program, not only for me, but for you.
Tell us about that first sanctioned state tournament, the atmosphere leading up to it, and how your team performed.
Yeah, it was emotional. I remember, bringing it back to when I heard it was sanctioned to that tournament. I just remember we were up in the stands, and me and my assistant, Abby Lyman, she had coached alongside of me, and she had wrestled actually here at Cedar Falls. So that was pretty cool to have her be able to be my assistant and coach here at a program she grew up in. And we were just standing by each other, and when we heard it was sanctioned, we just started crying. And I'm an emotional person, but not about super emotional. But yeah, I just remember we both just started crying, and we were like, this is insane, goosebumps, and it was cool. And it was just the opportunities that these girls get to have is, yeah. But then, yeah, that first state tournament, just talking to the girls, these are the opportunities you get to have. These are the opportunities you can never look back on. You're going to be down in history as the first varsity girl for Cedar Falls, the first state qualifier at 106 or 100 for Cedar Falls. Just like I think that was a lot of our talk was, you've made history. You get to be part of the first. You're the first. You're the first. You're the first. Okay, and you are what other younger girls are looking up to. And you can really tell that our girls last year made an impact, because going from 30-some girls to 60-some girls, it just, yeah.
How did they react to the atmosphere?
Their eyes just were big, big eyes, and just seeing their smiles on their faces just made me smile. Just walking into the arena, to warm up, and just we told them, just take a moment. Just take a moment, stand here, take it all in. Yeah, it was, they loved it.
And at that tournament, the IWCOA Coach of the Year was?
Was me.
When did you find out about that?
I think I found out like a couple days before the state tournament. Clint Kudum had called me and said, hey, congratulations, you were voted on by our committee as the IWCOA Coach of the Year. And then Erin called me. She's like, did Clint tell you the news? And I was like, yep. I don't know. I just felt like there are so many coaches that deserved it. And, you know, like there's a lot of coaches out there that if we could just give awards to every coach, because like the amount of time every coach puts in, and like, you know, some of them don't have the success because their girls are starting at different levels. They have different abilities. And, you know, not every girl is going out to be a state champion or a state placer. They're just going out to be involved in something bigger than themselves. And I think the amount of coaches that just are creating those opportunities for girls to even get matches, you know, like I think it's hard to pick one coach that deserves to be Coach of the Year because there's so many that do such great things for the sport that we wouldn't be where we are today without them.
How has your program evolved year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot. When the state tournament was done last year, the girls were hungry. I bring all my girls to state. I get them all a hotel room. I say, as long as you practice after your last JV competition, you keep practicing with us, you get to come to state. And getting to see them in the stands, and like, I think that's what made a lot of them hungry. They got to see those girls out there competing, seeing them celebrate after a huge win, or maybe even seeing them lose a tough match and saying, like, some of those losses are just so big, and they bring so much momentum even compared to those wins. So, but yeah, no, I think the girls saw that tournament, and then they were ready for that off-season grind. We were able to bring in some people to do our off-season, and they really grew our girls. Some of our girls went over to Immortals, or some of them went over to USA Mat Club, and we would have open mats. But the girls came in consistently. Like, we were consistently having over 30 girls in the room just wanting to be here at open mat, wanting to be with each other. And you don't see that in a lot of other sports. But the culture of our overall team has stayed the same. We've stayed the same in the aspect of we love each other. We're going to make each other better. And no one, I mean, like we talked before, everybody's out for a different reason. Everybody's here for a different reason. Everybody's trying to achieve something different. So, but overall, this season, I've seen a big difference. And last year we had a couple individuals that were our leaders. And now we've got a whole lineup of leaders, of girls that are going out there and kicking some serious butt. They had losing records last year. They were on my JV and had losing records. They come to my varsity roster now, and they only have like under 10 losses, and they've got 40 plus wins on the season. Like, if that doesn't tell you how hungry girls are to compete and to grow and learn from the sport of wrestling, I don't know what does.
Where do you see girls wrestling in Iowa 5 years from now?
Well, I'm hoping there's more colleges. Because what I tell my girls is when we talk about college, a lot of them want to go and wrestle for college. I say, okay, what do you want to go to school for? Wrestling. No, what do you want to go to school for? Academics. And then they say, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and find that academic program and then see if they have a wrestling program. So I'm hoping by then, you know, they pick their academics, then they can say, I'm going to wrestle, you know. But overall, I think for the state of Iowa, I'm just hoping to see, you know, more female coaches. I think that's huge. And nothing against male coaches, because I've met some amazing male coaches and they do an amazing job. But I think the opportunity for girls and understanding that they do have a spot out there in coaching a sport that was male dominant coaching is going to grow a long ways. Like, a lot of my girls are like, oh, I just want to go and coach after this. I want to be the next Allie Gerbracht. And I'm like, no, you're not going to be the next Allie Gerbracht. You're going to be the next whatever their name is, you know, like, you are not me. You are going to be 10 times better than me. I want you to be 10 times better than me. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of my goal for the girls is there's so many gateways now. Like, they can go and wrestle. I want them to go and wrestle. But, you know, maybe that's not what they want to do, and that's okay. If they want to go and coach, awesome.
How would your athletes describe your coaching style?
Oh, crazy. No, you'd have to ask them, honestly. They know I get pretty intense. They know I'm passionate. But at the end of the day, even when I'm screaming at them when they're on the mat, they know that I'm coming out of a place of love. Because when we're in here, I'm not screaming at them. I'm encouraging them. It's positivity in the room. They know I'm coming from a good place. We actually just talked about this last night, so it's funny that you bring that up. We are having a conversation after practice, and these girls, they never leave. Like, we'll be in here until like 8:30 at night, and they're just talking to me, and they know once they get me talking, I don't stop talking. So then they just keep going, and I'm like, girls, I gotta go. You got homework. And no, I don't know. Honestly, they probably call me crazy because I do get into it. They know I'm passionate. Like sometimes you'll see me on the side of the mat, and I don't like watching myself. My veins start popping out of my head. They love that. But yeah, no, they know I'm very passionate, and I want the best for them.
Being so young, and especially your juniors and seniors, how did you navigate those waters?
Coach,
player.
Yeah. I think I got that question a lot, but honestly, I never really had a problem with it. The girls, we set clear guidelines. We said, okay, I need respect. I give you respect, you give me respect. And we never really had any problem with that. Like, my assistant coaches, they're both older males. And they're like, the girls respect you a lot more than they respect a 40-year-old male. And I don't know if that's because of age. I don't know. But I think it's just the relationship we've built. Like when I say be quiet, they're quiet. Otherwise, they know they got 5 push-ups. So I think it's just the rules and the culture we've set aside. They know in practice, I'm very serious. I like to get stuff done. I like them to put the work in. So then when we go out and compete, we can have fun.
Role models and heroes. Who are a couple role models and heroes you had as a wrestler, as a coach, in general?
Megan Black. Megan Black was Megan Champion is her name now. But when I was in junior high or high school, I can't remember. I think I was in junior high. I had her picture of her getting her hand raised at state. And one time we were at Folk Style Nationals, and she took the time to talk to me. And I think that meant a lot to me. She signed my jacket, and I just being able to watch her grow as a wrestler. And she was never cocky. She was always just humble and just an amazing person. Even last year at Fargo camp, I got to talk to her, and she just took the time to talk to me. And I feel like that was a lot. That meant a lot to me. She talked as a coach, because now she coaches at William Penn. And I just think she's a huge role model to me.
What's your relationship with your dad in wrestling?
We have a very good relationship. At times, no. When I was a wrestler anyways, we would butt heads a lot. I'm a very stubborn person, and he's a very stubborn person. But at the end of the day, he wanted what was best for me, and he'd push me to the limits I needed to be. He got me the opportunities I needed. But yeah, no, we had a very tight relationship, almost too tight. He's like, do you ever just stop talking about wrestling? And I'm like, no, wrestling, I could talk about wrestling almost every hour of every day. But as a coach, he's really the reason the coach I am today. I took everything I know from him and put it into my program. And when I have problems, I'll call him. I'll ask him, hey, I don't know what to do. I need some advice. What should I do here? He brings me back to when I was in high school, when I was having these problems. Or when we talk technique, he'll walk me through something, or he'll send me videos, or he'll send me his old lesson plan or his old workout plans, and then I'll adjust it accordingly to how our practice is kind of run. But he's really just molded me into the person and the coach I am today.
All right, the 7 playbooks. Okay, so this one, the first word is accountability.
I think accountability is the girls being able to hold themselves to the standards they want to be held to. So they have these goals. They have to hold themselves accountable. I can tell them as many times to go and do how many reps, keep your grades up, treat people with respect, but it's whether they're going to actually go ahead and follow through with that and hold themselves accountable to what they want to achieve within their life, whether it's in the wrestling room, in the classroom, or just out in the community.
Communication.
To me, communication is super important with my athletes. I want them to be able to communicate with me. I don't want them to be having their parents email me or text me. I want them to be able to communicate with me, because when they go out into the community, when they're no longer a minor, they're now an adult, they need to know how to communicate with people, with it, whether it's their job, their college or their college professor, their new coach, their friends. They need to be able to communicate and be able to express the feelings that they're having. And I feel like communication goes a long ways when I'm able to think or be able to know what they are thinking instead of me having to guess what they're thinking. So communication goes a long ways.
Leadership.
Leadership to me is just the girls being able to take pride in whatever they involve themselves in. Whether that means they're an actual leader, if they're a captain, that doesn't mean they have to be a captain in order to be a leader. They could be just another girl on the roster, as long as she's doing what she sees is best for her. That can be seen as a leader by anybody in the community.
Parents.
Parents, to me, they play a very important, vital role in their girls' development. Being able to just let their child go out and accomplish what they want to accomplish instead of what the parent thinks they need to accomplish, and being able to provide the support that child needs instead of maybe that negativity. Just being able to tell them, hey, I'm proud of you. I love you. Okay, no matter whether you win or lose, I'm proud of you. And I think we talk about that a lot is, when the girls lose, do you think your parents are mad at you? Do you think your parents no longer love you? And they're like, no. See, then who else out there do you think is mad at you? No one, right? We're all proud that you went out there and you did your best. You accomplished what you can accomplish. What was in your hands, you handled.
Culture.
Culture to me is a huge part of not only any sport, but especially wrestling. It's how your team gets along. It's how you get along with your team. Culture is just overall the foundation of any program, and you're not going to have a successful program, or in your eyes a successful program, whether that means you're winning state or you're just going out there and having a great season, whether that's winning or not winning. Culture is how the girls have a good time.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, we talk about a lot about teamwork in our room. Without the numbers we have, without the other girls, I don't always put my varsity together. I sometimes put varsity and JV because those JV girls are going to eventually be varsity. Some of them are the best JV girls in the state. Or they could go out there and place at state, but they're behind some of our best girls in the state, but without them, our girls would not be at the level they are without our JV girls. So just knowing teamwork, and if you don't have your partner come in that day, who's going to push you to get better? So teamwork to me is just building off of each other, having that person there to push you.
Last one, work ethic.
Okay.
Perfect.
Work ethic to me is different for every girl. Every girl is going to have a different work ethic because, like we talked about before, every girl has different goals. Not every girl is going out there looking to be a state champion. Not every girl is going out there looking to be varsity. Not every girl, it's just every girl has a different level, and I think understanding that work ethic is going to look different on every girl. You cannot compare one girl to another girl. Each girl has different levels of work ethic and different goals.
Growing up in this state, participating in all the activities you did, what does it mean to be an Iowa girl?
To be an Iowa girl, it holds a lot. I think just being able to defy a lot of those standards, a lot of those bars that are put to us that we're told we cannot pass them. And each day, every girl is going out there and passing those bars. They're saying, no way, you're not holding me down. I can do what I want to do. I'm going to accomplish what I want to accomplish. And I think that says a lot about the Iowa girl. You can't put a label on us. You can't hold us down. We're going to go and do what we're meant to do. And I think the Girls Union helps us accomplish that, creates a platform where we're comfortable to go out there and compete. And we're comfortable defying those expectations for us.